Welcome back to the Malaysia Money Matters Show. It's the 13th of November 25.
Great to be here.
Today we're doing a deep dive into something of a paradox we're seeing. On one hand, you have these really strong signs of economic growth.
For sure. The currency's hitting peaks, tech is accelerating.
Exactly. But on the other hand, there are these, persistent structural headwinds, especially in getting policies properly implemented.
It's a real push and pull. Let's unpack it, maybe starting with what's driving the growth at the corporate level.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
How about commodities? We saw some mixed results there. United Plantations, for example, their third quarter profit actually posted a slight dip.
Right, I saw that. About 5.5% lower.
Exactly. But here's the key. It had nothing to do with sales. Their revenue was actually up, and up big, over 23%.
So it's a cost issue.
It's purely higher operating costs and tax expenses. And despite that squeeze, they still declared their 18th consecutive special dividend. That signals real confidence.
That long-term view is interesting when you compare it to the short-term shifts we're seeing elsewhere.
They got Greenyield.
Yeah, Greenyield. The shareholders just voted to remove their non-executive chairman, and they appointed 7 new directors. Seems like they're settling a big internal dispute there.
And speaking of timelines, YNH Property has extended the deadline again for that big land sale in Desa Sri Hartamas to Sunway.
All the way to mid-2026 now, right? That's a pretty long extension for a 170 million ringgit deal.
It is. It makes you wonder a bit about market patience. But you know where there's no patience issue? It's technology.
You mean VSTECS?
Absolutely. They're expecting another record year. Their net profit climbed almost 32% in the third quarter.
And that's all being driven by the digital and AI adoption wave.
Completely. It shows how that massive global trend is directly boosting local profits.
And the market itself is trying to keep up. Bursa Malaysia just launched ThoughtStream.
Right, the new digital platform. It's meant to encourage more independent research, connect contributors with licensed investment advisors.
A bit of a democratization of research.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And we're seeing similar modernization in logistics. Swift Haulage saw their profit jump nearly 24%.
Better margins, but also that push into cleaner transport, right? Their EV prime mover fleet.
Exactly. Growth tied to ESG trends. And on the big investment front, Khazanah has now put over 4 billion ringgit into Desaru Coast and Legoland, Malaysia.
That's a huge bet on the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone really taking off.
It's all banking on the JSSEZ. And, just to round out the corporate news, a leadership change at Malaysia Aviation Group.
Oh, right. The Group MD, ISM, is set to retire in early 2026.
Yes. And the current COO, Captain Nasaruddin, is slated to take over.
Okay, one more big one on the corporate side, Petronas.
A huge one. They've officially moved into Guyana in South America. They secured an offshore exploration block.
And they're not going it alone.
No, it's a partnership. They have a 25% stake alongside giants like Total Energies and Qatar Energy. It really underlines Malaysia's global ambition in the energy sector.
Okay, so let's pull back from the individual companies and talk macro, because that's where the picture gets more complex.
Starting with the ringgit, it hit a one-year peak, strengthened to 4.118 against the U.S. dollar.
Which reflects real optimism about the economy and these structural reforms.
And we have hard proof that some of those reforms are working. The Deputy Finance Minister just gave an update on the targeted diesel subsidy.
The numbers are pretty staggering, aren't they?
They are. Sales have dropped from 770 million liters a month down to 465 million. That's a massive reduction since June.
And it translates to about 5 billion ringgit in annual savings.
Yes, and that money is being reallocated directly into social support like Sambangan Tunai Rama, the cash aid program. So that's a clear policy win.
But not all policies are hitting their targets.
No. The new capital gains tax on unlisted shares, for instance, it only brought in 162 million ringgit in its first year.
Which is way short of the, 800 million projection.
Well, short. It just shows how hard it is to forecast these things, especially when you carve out exemptions for listed shares and IPOs to keep the market stable.
And that execution challenge seems to be a theme.
It is. The chief secretary to the government just gave a pretty stark warning that national project performance is below expectations.
Only about 75% of the funds spent.
Right. And that has to improve before we head into the 13th Malaysia Plan in 2026.
On the political front, we also have Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim set to brief Parliament tomorrow.
That's on the government's decision not to appeal the High Court ruling about Sabah's 40% revenue rate, a very significant move.
And on a different note, the government also reiterated its stance on press freedom.
That's right. The Deputy Communications Minister confirmed they won't pressure media organizations, even on reports they disagree with.
Okay, let's quickly jump to the international stage. The AI story continues to have twists.
It really does. SoftBank shares plunged 10% after they sold their entire stake in NVIDIA.
For 5.8 billion US dollars. That really spooked the market.
It did. But at the same time, an NVIDIA supplier like Foxconn is still incredibly bullish on AI demand for 2026. It perfectly captures how divided investors are on this boom.
And geopolitically, things are tense. China is now accusing the U.S. of stealing about $13 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Describing it as a state-level hacker operation. Very strong language.
And finally, the EU seems to be hitting the brakes on its anti-deforestation law.
Yeah, they're looking for another year-long delay, pushing it to late 2026, citing compliance issues.
So when you connect all these dots, what's the final thought for our listeners?
I think it's that Malaysia is in this really interesting spot. You're seeing high-level policy successes, like with the subsidies, but at the same time, you're grappling with these on-the-ground efficiency problems, project spending, tax shortfalls.
So the growth from companies like VSTECS and the strong ringgit is real.
It's very real. The big challenge now as we head toward the 13th Malaysia Plan is making sure that growth isn't held back by, bureaucratic friction. That's the whole game.
Growth creates the potential, but it's the execution that will define the future. For more insights like this, make sure you subscribe to the Malaysia Money Matters podcast.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If you would like a deeper dive into all the investment opportunities from today's news, subscribe to my newsletter at moneymatters.substack.com. I will be sharing a deeper analysis of the key investment opportunities from today's news, including what makes these opportunities stand out and how they fit into the broader market trends. By subscribing to the Malaysia Money Matters newsletter, you will also get exclusive insights on my watch list and portfolio and fundamental reports on Malaysian listed companies.